Thank you very much. First of all, it's a very pleasure to be the last focus speech, because in reality, I see a lot of time the word points, dots, and lines. And probably we see in the first speech the dots. We see in the second speech the lines, because it's clear that we put together the requirement and the policies. And as IHE catalyst, I want to focus on this point because we use a Greek word, catalytis, and means accelerator. Because I remember that we speak on this dot and line for 20 years. It's not new, of course. But in reality, what is new now in the landscape after the COVID outbreak is the speed up. We have no time. We have to realize we cannot expect other 10 years to realize this challenge. And so I focus on this point. Okay? Okay. So this is expressed in a lot of time in different from the previous speakers, and I don't go in details. But it's clear that things are changing, of course. Different challenges are coming. And of course, as IHE, we are a part of this history because we started 20 years ago in the radiology domain. And our role is to produce this interoperability framework for the radiology 20 years ago. Now we are in the domain of the care coordination. But in which way? We said a lot of time the word quality and data. Quality and data is two very strange words because quality is not easy to reach. It's a process. You don't buy quality, and you have to reach this approach. And you have different type of elements in the quality of data. One of these is interoperability. My speech is focused on this topic. As IHE, we are an international organization, 20 years old, and we have on board, I believe, all the standard developer organization. We have all on board all the user, of course, organization, and we have the great part of the market, the vendor side. And we're working together to accelerate the adoption of these standards. Okay. So, what is our job? We are not an SDO. We are not a standard organization. We don't develop standards. Other organizations do this. And it's important that we're starting from the problems, the dots as displayed, and we define use cases and profiles, and we find the way to solve these problems using different standards, because there is no one standard that solves everything. And in the Catalonia experience, it's clear that, for example, Open EHR is an emerging standard that is very interesting for reach this type of goals. There are other standards, DICOM, for example, in imaging. There are the big new entry that are the HL7 FIRE approach that accelerate themselves. We work together. We starting from the problems, working from a bottom-up approach, and we develop these profiles that are guidelines to the usage of the standards in real world. In particular, to speed up the adoption of these use cases, we take the approach of testing, because when you mean of quality, the testing of the process means quality of the clinical pathway. And we use a different approach for the quality. We call IHE testing continuum, because it's not only one piece of approach. I believe that a lot of you know very well the connectathon. These big rooms with a lot of vendors that connect their own application and try to share their data. But in reality, we have included on this process also another type of events, like IHE plagathons. Plagathons are a session testing that are not a quality session, because in this session, we're talking and explore the new trends, the new problems, what will be the future in profiles, what will be implemented in the next gen of products in the market. This is, for example, last year in Trieste, we have a plagathon. In each plagathon, we have different tracks. And you see here the tracks that we have discussed during the plagathon, and we start in the first testing session with different vendors. It's, for example, you see a track that is not healthcare related, energy, because it's clear different industries have some overlapping, and it's very important know one each other, what are in different silos, like, for example, the energy interoperability. You see, of course, the AI application for radiology. We see a lot of time the importance and the underlying how important is to put AI on the workplace of the clinician. We see in which way we can work in this place. Is a pre-stage of profile and rigorous testing lie in the connectathon. This is the plagathon that we held next week in Toronto. You see different topics because there are tracks, we call tracks these topics. You see AI-related topics, of course, trust frameworks. This is very important. When you see, I want to realize an EHR at regional, national level, you are talking about trust system. And so you need to make some implementation that are different. And of course, the IPS approach. We see at the end, the second pillar, if I remember, is the patient summary in the Cyprus vision. Yes, it's very important. It's not easy. What are the usage and the exchange of data using IPS? So this is the plagathon approach, a pre-stage of testing. Then we have another stop. When we have profiles, when we have rules, we call the vendors to test in their real products these rules. And this is the IHE Connectathon. This is, for example, the Connectathon of last year. You see a lot of tables, a lot of people, a lot of engineer, a lot of tests to manage. This is very important because this accelerates the adoption on the standards in the real world products. And you are buying products, not projects. Only few of you could buy projects, but the great part of the hospital need to buy products, and with the interoperability built in, of course. Experience of Connectathon, 20 years of testing. You see the key numbers. We have more than 100 companies that has tested their own system in the European or in North American or in Japan Connectathon. Last point, Projectathon. Because it's very important to understand that in real world, a common project, healthcare project, is based in 80% of standards and 20% of local specs for different reasons. And so we call Projectathon the capability to have a testing events in a project. This is one example. For example, the Latin American countries, the Canada Health Info Way, we have a Projectathon next week, the EPR Projectathon in Swiss, and of course, all the Projectathon organized by the European Commission. And we have also another very strange Projectathon, that is the Projectathon related to a European project called Once Only Hub. It's like EPSOS for healthcare in the other domains, like municipality, energies, and other fields of public agencies. This is a very old slide, because it's in 2011, we have the first Projectathon of the EPSOS project. This is the Projectathon related to the European Commission. Currently, we are running at least 2 Projectathons by year for this project. And it's very important to underline, without this Projectathon, probably we don't speed up this project like EPSOS. This is the Projectathon roadmap that Catalyst will follow next year. It's very interesting to see there are more than 10 Projectathons around the world managed by us. And it's important that some Projectathons are new and other Projectathons are coming from the past. Normally project, each year have a Projectathon. I will speak with an example that is not in Europe, because sometimes in the emerging countries, there are very new ideas, especially because they have not the background, the history, the back compatibility. We see 3 different level of different EHR system. It means that you need to have a back compatibility from one architecture to another architecture. And so this is the Latin American country. We are supporting them from 2022 after the COVID. This is the reason that they call LACPAS, because the first use case is for the COVID certificates. We have performing 3 different projectathons this year in Bogota, and this is the countries that are in this project. It's like Europe. It's very similar to Europe. There are 2 use cases. Cross-border IPS sharing, of course, they're starting from IPS, and digital vaccination certificate, because this project is supported and sponsored by WHO. And so WHO is very sensitive for the cross-border vaccination problem. You see the use case that we are using now. This is a very nice picture to describe their own approach. It's like an highway they want to build through Latin American countries. And you see, like an highway, that you have some part of the highway that are completely done, and then you move to some part that are not related. And this is very important because connecting the dots, you need to have the complete landscape. Because if you don't know where you are going, it's very difficult to connect in the dots. And in some cases, the result picture, it is very strange, of course. So, I show you what means IHC testing continuous for the users. But for the vendors, what is the approach and the added value for the vendors? The vendors has the plagathon, the connectathon, the projectathon, that are a part of the whole strategy in the product life cycle. So they have the first part that is prepare and plan, and they use plagathons to do this. To refine and to realize, and it's important, the IHC connectathon, and then to verify, validate, and then release. That is important for the quality of this approach. So you have starting from piloting innovation through rigor and quality and towards development. This is the idea of the testing continuum. And of course, don't forget one point, that I see a lot of time that if you develop a project, you say, okay, we need to close this project in 2 years, in 3 years. Oh, very nice. But you don't take care of the life cycle of the product of the vendors. And this is a quality process. It's not possible to compress. If you want to use products in your project, you need to take care of this part. And so this is the life cycle of the product that you have to take care. So human interoperability is important, is crucial. This is the reason that I speak a lot of time and everybody say, okay, guys, but it's better to have a remote online testing session. Yeah, that's true, it's more cheaper. But in reality, the added value to spend 1 week, 2 days all together to solve the problems are an accelerator, an incredible accelerator. And so it's important to create this ecosystem of stakeholders. Thank you very much. And it's a welcome for me to see you in Vienna the last week of June for the European Connectathon Week. Thank you very much.